put my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? Yours truly, Carcino here, and let's get into this because Joy Reid gave Stephen A. the beat down he was asking. Oh, I ain't seen nothing like this in a very long time. Check this out.
Renee good.
Renee good.
Renee good.
Renee good.
This should not have happened, but we
are out to get them. And there was some progress on that issue after the murder of George Floyd. And a lot of people aren't going to make these distinctions between federal agents, the FBI, and local police departments. They'll go back to this concern that especially for people of color, for undocumented people, for immigrants, for transgender women of color, that all the police want to do is to lock us up. So again, it's not just immoral, it's ineffective law enforcement. It's bad policing.
Now, Stephen A. Smith ended up coming up because he once again seems to enjoy having different energy against people of color than he does for people without color.
That's being promoted by the Trump administration.
Indeed. Michael Fanone, Paul Butler, Lev Parnas. Thank you, friends. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you very
much. Appreciated. So there it is, everyone. 3 professionals, 3 people who know what they're talking about, actually talking about an issue that is really important because we're seeing this play out in the streets of the United States. What really does, in my mind, amount to domestic terrorism. I want to take a moment and pivot and let you guys know that the Joy Reid Show tonight is brought to you by our friends at Helix. And by the way, who doesn't need a good night's sleep, especially in these wild times? So here's the thought. Why not stay comfy in your repose on a mattress by Helix? Get a great night's sleep and avoid issues like night sweats, because you know I know about that, honey. Night sweats, back pain, arm numbness from sleeping on your side, and all of the bad things. Because Helix will get you comfortable. Because it seems to me that our friend, well, I don't know if I call him a friend, Stephen A. Smith is talking shit again.
I don't know if you would categorize this as a third rail or a pitfall, as you describe, but in your book, you talk about how when you were first starting with, quite frankly, you were concerned that the Black community might see you as a sellout, as an Uncle Tom. And as you know, some of those criticisms have come about lately. And I want to just play a quick clip to get your reaction.
Sure.
To use your platform in order to not only come for me, but consistently kind of have a track record of coming for Black women, I was just very disappointed in him.
They're paying you not for your numbers, my friend. They're paying you because you are willing to say the nasty things about Black people that they want to say.
Your reaction?
They should be ashamed of themselves. Where's your evidence?
Well, with Crockett, you have apologized.
Well, let me tell you what I apologized for. Trump followed up what I said by calling her low IQ and stuff like that, which I found appalling. She's a highly educated woman. She's licensed to practice law in the state of Texas, Arkansas, and federally. She's a United States representative. She's an influential, intelligent, decent, good Black woman who cares a lot about Black people in this country. So I apologized for assisting in any way this notion that it's okay to say that about her, because I didn't want any parts of that. But I did feel that the situation was overblown. I was simply saying, is cursing the president out and calling him a piece of on national television or in front of a national audience going to help your constituency? I wanted to know the answer to that question.
You know,
now, granted, Stephen A. acts like he needed an answer to the question. Stephen A. apologized because his so beloved HBCUs, where He's an honorary member. He never pledged. He never got branded. No, he was an honorary member, which means that he bought his way in. I go to all these HBCUs because you want to use that avenue to try to promote your blackness. I'm good with black people. I go to HBCUs. I've been here. I've been everywhere. They know me. My mama black. My sister black. My daughter black. We black out here. And he uses it as a crutch. So he thinks that gives him an avenue to say things that's completely beyond what any black person would ever say. And when he goes and takes this narrative saying he wants these questions, he just doesn't keep that same energy the other way.
It's not just Joy Reid and
Let me say something about Joy Reid. Let's get this out of the way. I don't know this woman. I've met her one time. I shook her hand once. I've never spoken to her in my life. And she's responding that way because when she got fired by MSNBC, her show got canceled. I spoke on it. And what I said was, she is a talent, highly intelligent woman. I respect her. The issue, however, is that if your numbers drop 47% and you are black in this culture that we're living in, did you really expect something else to happen? Of course they were going to do that to you. I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, I get what you're saying and you might be right. But the manner in which you're going about it, that ain't going to serve you well long term.
But why is it that many black women have had this criticism on Stephen A. Smith?
Who are the many? Because I think that a few.
Okay. That is the interview that Lindsay Davis on ABC, great journalist Lindsay Davis, is doing with Stephen A. Smith. And I want you all to notice, as we just played that clip, their promo, that he did not answer Lindsay Davis's question. He just did his usual, I have so much respect for these sisters shtick before, attacking Jasmine Crockett and me with his same old bullshit. Now, I will note that he seems to have changed his position on moi, however, saying that since the entirety of the artist formerly known as MSNBC's ratings numbers went down after the election, and mine did too, that I got fired because I'm black. Did you notice that he said that? Particularly since ratings were actually up on my show and across the network at the time that I got fired. So he's saying that with everyone's ratings went down and mine did too, I should have known that they were going to fire me because I'm black. That's weird, Stephen. Because I thought your whole shtick was to say, you've got to prove that it's about race and it's not about race. But now you're saying it is about race? And since the ratings at Ms. Now, they were down throughout the entire year in 2025 versus Fox. They were down. Fox's ratings were up and the ratings at CNN and Ms. Now were down throughout 2025. And I haven't worked there since February 24th. So does this mean that people who are black who work at Ms. Now should expect to be fired per your formula? Because that's not the thing that you normally promote, right? And to go ahead and answer Lindsay's question, since you didn't, Stephen, here is a compilation of why so many black people, and they're really not the few, think that you're a sellout.
Get real serious about Kamala Harris. I'm incredibly disappointed with what I've seen from the standpoint of her promoting this book. She came across as somewhat leaderless at that particular moment in time, which is something that Trump was pointing out. Then you come out with a book. Nobody wants to hear this now. This is the problem. And this is why I believe her political career is over. Serena Williams was wrong. Somebody has to say it. So I will. When Serena Williams brought the issue of gender and sexism into the argument, that's when Mrs. Michelle Obama, I would like to see you have some people on your podcast with dissenting opinions, dare I say. That would be nice. So they could have an opportunity to clap back if you say something. You said a vote for Trump was a vote against you and a vote against y'all as women. I want to state for the record, I took major offense to that. Black men don't just love our black women. We revere y'all. She is entitled to her opinion. She's earned it. I have never, nor would I ever disrespect Jemele Hill. But that doesn't mean that you get to create your own facts. You can call it bullshit all you want to. Respectfully, the one that's spewing bullshit is you. I'm really, really trying to be as respectful as I possibly can be towards LeBron James. I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. Stop this. We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad.
I don't know why the hell Nike made these damn uniforms that have hoods attached to it, by the way. You got a lot of those white folks in the audience that's going to think this is Trayvon Martin being revisited. And I'm not joking about it. The bench is no place for somebody to be wearing hoodies.
Colin Kaepernick wants the media. This Colin Kaepernick, media can't find him. He ain't done no interviews. He ain't talked to nobody. Media can't find him, but he wants to do it. He wants the media available now. He don't want to play. He wants to be a martyr. But guess what? It ain't working this time. You don't want to work. You just want to make noise. And you want to control the narrative. It's over.
Let me tell you what gets me annoyed. And I hope Jasmine Crockett is listening to this. By the way, she's welcome on the show. When you go on national television and you call in the president of the United States out of his name, and you're being all disrespectful, as a representative in this country, do you believe the citizens of Texas sent you there to do that? They don't like him either. I'm talking about those who voted for her in all likelihood. But because he is who he is and he is in that position, they expect you to go to Capitol Hill and figure out a way to maneuver yourself through that terrain to work in a fashion that's going to facilitate getting things done on behalf of your constituents. That's your job. That's your job. Excuse my language on Sirius XM, but it ain't your job to say he ain't shit. He ain't worth a damn. That's not your job. Anybody can do that. I've listened to Jasmine Crockett. Both AOC and Jasmine Crockett are welcomed on this show. I respect the hell out of both of them. I'm not here to disrespect anybody. I'm only talking about what strategy is going to work. What Bakari Sellers needs to recognize is, why don't you tell what the truth is? Why don't you speak about the level of resentment that you really, really have? That the American people are more willing to listen to somebody like me or the others that you mentioned rather than you, who's been doing this for years out of South Carolina and then some. Nobody care what you have to say. I'm giving you pub right now by talking about you. Because this is the kind of individual he is. I could come at somebody like that who chooses to be disrespectful. You know my number. You could have reached me a long time ago. We could have had discussions a long time ago. The only time you ever reached out to anybody is when you wanted to sell your book. So it doesn't matter to me what you've accomplished. It doesn't matter to me how intelligent you are. It doesn't matter to me how knowledgeable you are, because nobody wants to listen to you, because your intent and your disposition and your default position is to attack personally people you don't even know. A charlatan? That implies I'm a fraud. How am I fraudulent? My work speaks for itself. I've been doing this for years. And SiriusXM wanting to come to me, I got news for you. CNN will want me before they want you, and you work there. Not to mention other networks. Don't hate on us because of what you ain't. Step up and be more than that by focusing on the issues. And if we don't know, teach us. That's all you got to do. Teach us.
If you're right, we'll listen to you. And instead of me calling you out on the airwaves, what I do instead is sit on the air and say, hey, this makes perfect sense, man. Bakari Sellers is right. Just like I've said Van Jones is right. Just like I've said others are right. On the left and the right. You bought and paid for on one side. Don't even want to hear what the other has to say. But you talking about me. Sit your ass down.
And look, like they would say he's a Virgin Islander. So they would say in a Virgin Islander, he has no behavior, right? You know, he's a Virgin Islander. But, bruh, just to be clear, that you are not an equal opportunity offender, because that was a long cut of offensive shit. But just to show y'all that this brother not an equal opportunity offender. Here is Stephen A. Smith when it comes to two white Americans whom he seems to particularly love.
BCUs be very concerned about you making cuts in that regard?
Not at all. And let me just tell you, I'm glad you brought it. Historically black colleges and universities, I saved them, Stephen. They were going out of business. They came to me, about 50 people that headed up, and they came to me the first year, and I took care of them. I took care of the black colleges and historically black HBCU. I took care of them. You know that better than anybody. Then they came to me the second year, and I said, wait a minute. Why do you keep coming back? I saw you guys, and they were great guys. Some of them to this day are still really friendly. And by the way, they love Trump, every one of them. They came to me the second time.
Well, you're giving them money.
They came to me the second time.
Get my damn teacup going.
Oh, my God.
Of any. At the time of this taping, 53 Trump nominees have been reported. One is black. That's it. A couple of things I wanted to bring up. I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. Trump proclaims to be cool with the brothers and fellas and what have you. And, but when it's time to appoint people to positions of power, folks are choosing folks they're accustomed to, who look like them, share their cultural identity, things of that nature. You're expecting me to be overly critical of Trump about this. I'm not. The fact of the matter is that folks lost the right to complain. Folks lost the right to complain, even the black conservatives. He is a conservative talk show host. He's got a great podcast with millions upon millions of followers. He is an author extraordinaire. He's one of the brilliant minds in America, if not beyond, even though we tend to disagree from time to time. I'm talking about the one and only himself, Mr. Ben Shapiro. Pleasure to see you again, man. How you doing?
It's an honor for you to have me. I really appreciate it.
But I got to tell you something. As much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through. He wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. No, I don't. I knew Trump before he ran for the presidency. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him. I genuinely liked him. I didn't know who this guy was running for president. I think he's changed, but I will tell you this. I think when people call him racist and stuff like that, I've never thought of Trump that way. He's not against black people. He's against all things not named Trump. There's a difference.
And we're going to give lip service to the tragedy of the moment. And then within 24 hours, we move on with our lives like nothing happened. Something did happen. Don't care what his political beliefs were. I don't care what he felt. And then I'm going online and I'm seeing people celebrating it. Shame. Shame on you.
What I'm not suspect on is him getting them. Hell with that. That's the right thing to do because across party lines, everybody in our government said this man was a narco-terrorist and we want to get him. What's the problem? You got him. Why are we complaining? People in Venezuela ain't complaining. Venezuelans throughout this nation ain't complaining. A lot of people in Latin America ain't complaining about the fact that you got him. You got people. I know somebody from Venezuela, and now they fantasizing about going back because he's finally been captured. And they want democratic leadership within their country. Because they went from being one of the most prosperous countries in the nation a few decades ago to people eating out of trash cans. And we complaining. Are we complaining because it's legit or are we complaining because it was Trump?
And this is something that could be perceived as beneficial to him and the GOP for the midterm, and ultimately whoever's running in 2028 that wants to mirror the policies that he's implemented. Come on now. We got to be smarter than that, better than that.
Okay, now, Stephen, note to vive la différence. You don't have the same smoke for the right that you do for anybody black. You got a lot of smoke for LeBron and Jamel Hill and Carrie Champion and Jasmine Crockett. You got a lot of smoke for black folks. But when it comes to Charlie Kirk, who applauded the killing of Trayvon Martin and said we can handle some more gun murders if we can have more Second Amendment, Donald Trump, who is terrorizing black and brown communities, you have no smoke for them. If you've been criticizing the right the way you've been attacking people on the other side, I need to see those clips, because when I tell you I've spent all day, Jason can tell you, just editing clips of you. And Stephen, I just didn't find the same smoke for the pro-fascist side, the pro-racist side, the anti-diversity side, as I found attacks by you, Stephen, against anybody black who has a prominent platform. And by the way, as to your attack on Bakari Sellers, Stephen, did you even know who his family is? Did your fam not learn about his history over there in the U.S. Virgin Islands? Now, to be fair, American history isn't exactly taught thoroughly everywhere. So just to educate you for just a moment, since you had so much smoke for Bakari, and since you like it when people bring you the facts, Bakari's father, Cleveland Sellers of Denmark, South Carolina, became a civil rights activist at age 15. Then at Howard University, he became a SNCC organizer after meeting and befriending a Caribbean-American activist named Stokely Carmichael. Now, in his life as an activist, Cleveland Sellers dealt directly with men like Bayard Rustin and Malcolm X, and SNCC sent Cleveland Sellers to do voter registration in Holly Springs, Mississippi, and to advocate for the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. Now, returning to South Carolina after leaving SNCC at 23 years old, he refused to be drafted into the Vietnam War, which many young civil rights activists suspected was a guise by the Johnson administration to pull them out of the streets, off the streets doing activism, and send them overseas to risk their lives killing non-white people. And instead, he poured himself into organizing in his native South Carolina. And 2 years before the 1970 Kent State Massacre, Cleveland Sellers became the only person indicted and jailed following the Orangeburg Massacre, which took place on the campus of South Carolina State University on February 8, 1968, whereby state police shot 28 students, most of them in the back, killing 3 young men. We're going to put their pictures up. It's B6. The 3 young men who were killed in the Orangeburg Massacre were named Samuel Hammond, all-star basketball player Delano Middleton, and Henry Smith. Those same officers wounded 27 other people, including Cleveland Sellers, who was shot in the left shoulder. The peaceful protest that police shot up was over the de facto segregation of a local bowling alley. Now, Cleveland Sellers, literally while laying injured and in the hospital, was deemed by police to have been an outside agitator, despite not even being an organizer of that specific protest. Yet he was arrested, charged, and given a year of hard labor for supposedly inciting a riot, when the violent rioters were in fact the police. He was targeted by police because he was friends with Stokely Carmichael and worked with him. And Stokely Carmichael had terrified white Americans with his calls for Black power. And because Cleveland Sellers, unlike Charlie Kirk, whom you so admired, was organizing students on college campuses like South Carolina State towards social and civic consciousness, not to believe that, Black men were inherently unqualified to be airline pilots. Bill Clinton, by the way, pardoned Cleveland Sellers in 1993. And unlike Donald Trump, Stephen, who you also seem to deeply admire and who you said you like very much, Cleveland Sellers, like Jasmine Crockett and Jamel Hill and Carrie Champion and Michelle Obama and Kamala Harris and LeBron James and Bakari Sellers and all the other Black men and women who you seem to so thoroughly and uniquely put down and criticize and attack, actually care about what happens to Black people, because they know that what happens to Black people in this country almost always eventually happens to everyone. The violence visited upon us is what you might call metastatic. it metastasizes eventually to every other community, as we've already seen happening to the OGs of getting massacred by colonizers, our indigenous brothers and sisters who are literally today being harassed by ICE, ironically, in the country stolen from them. And also Asian immigrants in Chinatown, Korean workers in Georgia, Latinos who are getting profiled all over this country at work, at Home Depot, ripped out of their homes, harassed, deported, tossed into concentration camps and private prisons at home and abroad. And now, as was always inevitable, white Americans, white women, who just as in the civil rights era, face state violence and even death for being race traitors and empathizers, since the right has deemed empathy to be evil. See Goodman and Schwerner, who were treated almost as viciously as Cheney, not quite, but almost as viciously as Cheney, and killed along with him in that 1965 lynching in Mississippi. The people you constantly criticize, they see that and they know that, Stephen. And we try to use our platforms to fight that hideous form of apartheid fascism. That's what we use our platforms for. That's why it is so problematic, Stephen, when you use your platform to say shit like this.
Video on numerous occasions. And seeing what transpired from a lawful perspective, as it pertains to a law enforcement official, don't expect him to be prosecuted. He was completely justified. From a humanitarian perspective, however, why did you have to do that? If you could move out the way, that means you could have shot the tires. That means you could have got her a few feet away after you shot the tires. And if you were unsuccessful in doing that, you could have got her down the road. You didn't have to do that. She wasn't driving down the road coming at you 90 miles an hour. She was parked in the middle of the street. And rather than get out the car, she wrongfully tried to drive off and wrongfully disregarded law enforcement official, which is exactly what ICE is. And as a result, lost her life because of it.
Oh, Stephen, from a lawful perspective, Stephen, given that you're not a journalist anymore, I mean, you did write for your school sports paper, and you did come from the Philadelphia Inquirer, so you used to be a journalist. But if you were an actual journalist on your podcast, if you wanted to speak from a lawful perspective, you would do what I did on the show tonight. You would bring on people who can speak from a lawful perspective, meaning a lawyer like Paul Butler, who can speak from a legal perspective, or people like Michael Fanone, who's literally law enforcement and who can speak from a lawful perspective. You would bring on people who have actual journalism in play at this moment, like Lev Parnas, who can speak to what's actually happening rather than just running your freaking mouth with your opinion. From a lawful perspective, you could have shot out the tires. Really? Because I'm not sure that it will be a lawful perspective to shoot out her tires either. There is a fleeing felon rule. You can't do it. You just heard it. Well, you wouldn't have heard it tonight, but maybe someone will send you the clips so you can hear from a lawful perspective actually what the facts are in the state of Minnesota rather than just running your mouth. From a lawful perspective, I think you might need to stick to sports. Because see, what I'm saying, Stephen, what I'm saying personally, is that you wouldn't even have an education if it weren't for men like Cleveland Sellers, nor would you have the freedom to be loud and wrong while claiming Jasmine Crockett is loud and wrong when she's just crying out for justice while you were crying out for people to respect Donald Trump. You wouldn't even have that opportunity if not for people like Cleveland Sellers, whom you disrespect when you disrespect his son in that manner, and whose story you probably don't even know. Without the people who are willing to agitate, there would be no President Obama, no First Lady Michelle Obama for you to shit on, no me, no Don Lemon, no Lindsey Davis for you to fail to answer her question. But most of us, including the many Black men and women who you've disrespected over the years, we know that. It's just a pity that you have that big old platform, which I sure hope your loud, dumbass takes don't jeopardize for your day job, bruh, since I am today old. Just doing my research on you since I don't watch your show and not previously realizing that your podcast is not even connected to ESPN. So don't shit on your day, your main bag by saying dumb shit on your podcast. That's just my free advice to you, because you either don't know shit or you just don't care. Instead, you use your platform to cozy up to the Bill O'Reillys and the Chris Cuomos of the world and the Newsmaxes, sucking up to them for favor from the regime, while people who you actually could have used your platform to stand up for, people like the people Colin Kaepernick stood up for and threw away his literal career to stand up for, while those people are destroyed. And I promise you, Stephen, I promise you, when the unspicy whites are done with you, and eventually they will be done with you, you may not have a home in Black America to come home to. Look, I don't know you, Stephen. That is true. As you said, we only met that one time, ironically, at the National Association of Black Journalists convention. But I disrespect you. I disrespect you, Stephen, if I'm being honest, because I suspect that had you not been a 1-year-old in February 1968, and instead had been a sports broadcaster at the time, you probably would have attacked Delano Middleton for not sticking to sports. You probably would have attacked Cleveland Sellers for not respecting the South Carolina administration and figuring out how to work with them. Just my thoughts. So CBS is having a time. Jason, did you have any thoughts before we move on to CBS?
I think you said everything. I don't have anything to say. You
Now, with that being said, Stephen A. Smith was called out gradually by Joy Reid. What did you guys think about how that was presented, how she brought receipts, and how these receipts lined up? Now, y'all want to talk about her appearance. I'm talking about the things she said. She went over his head. I think she gave a great breakdown and a great assessment of Stephen A. Smith. She showed him and gave him a dose of his own medicine. And he needed a lesson in what being a man is truly all about. And the fact is, I think she expressed herself and showed through the receipts, Stephen A. Smith was not keeping the same energy when it came to certain people of power. And with Black folks, he think he can just talk to us any kind of way. He's affected people's contracts. He's done all of these things to bash professional athletes who are African American. And these are the type of things people talk about when they describe him. It's nothing really favorable. LeBron James was trying to push him out of, let's get him out of the way. Let's get him out of here. We don't need this guy. And I can understand that, looking at what's happening and how it's been laid out. I can see the reasoning for getting him out of there. Well, Stephen A. Smith was very pissed off about that video. He was extremely disappointed. He was high. Don Lemon even joined in and went after him. And Don Lemon got his licks.
facts. He knows how to get in touch with me. He could have called me. He has no facts. He just gets on these like white boy, right-wing podcasts or on his own show and just goes off about Black people and things that for which he has no clue.
Yeah.
And he thinks because he's doing it like this, that people are going to listen to him. What's wrong with you? Talk up. I'm like, what am I watching? Is this Fred Sanford and Son? You old fish-eyed fool. I'm like, what is he doing?
On his independent show, Don Lemon roasted ESPN's Stephen A. Smith.
It's just shocking to me, this sort of cozying up to white people. And it's got to be for the money.
Yeah.
I wrote a book about it. Because we talked about it, Clay. We talked about it. If I became a Black conservative, I would be rich, like a gazillionaire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or if I just went on and started like bashing Black people just to bash them. And it seems that's become his stock and trade. And to make excuses for white people and to cozy up to people like Megyn Kelly.
Yeah.
Like, what? What are you doing, Stephen A? Like, what? Stop it. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing yourself all the way to the bank. But still, it's embarrassing for you, for the ancestors, for young Black people, and for all Black people. He's one of those Black people, like a number of the Black people who are on the networks, who white people think Black people like, but we don't. And so they put them up there. Let's put up John, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And we'll hear from the Black community. And Black people are like, I don't want to hear from him.
Right.
He don't represent us. And Stephen A. Smith does not represent us. Black people don't want to hear from him, networks. We don't like him. And it's not because he's Black. It is because he's Black. It's because he's Black and he's a sellout. That's why we don't like him.
And let me tell you, the roasts would continue. Recall when Stephen A. did this.
I just disagree on what she's making headlines for because I think it's counterproductive to the ultimate goal. But yet, here we are. And the word disrespect comes in. And people try to engage with words, like disrespect and implying misogyny and all of this other nonsense. Stop it. Could you just disagree? Could we just say, yo, Stephen A., I disagree with you. Here's why. We got Willie D. Put up that quote, please. He's putting out quotes or text or tweets about me. Let's see that again. Stephen A. Smith taking shots at Jasmine Crockett ain't just messy, it's weak. Dude is sitting on one of the biggest mics in America, and instead of using it to uplift, he's tearing down a Black woman who's out here putting in real work. That ain't critique, that's betrayal. Jasmine Crockett ain't the problem. She's the kind of woman who walks into rooms full of snakes and makes the snakes flinch. Meanwhile, Stephen's showing what happens when a paycheck gets louder than the principal. That sucker straight up, end quote. Wow, Willie D. You sure are uplifting.
He attacked Jasmine Crockett with what I could only conclude is and was a flimsy diatribe. Then Crockett would go on Lemon's show, which they posted on Instagram, and say this.
I just want to say, can we get some of these bojankety, tap dancing, ignorant brothers out here, Black men, to stop attacking Black women publicly, especially when they don't know what the F they're talking about?
Everybody saw the movie Django Unchained. Remember the name of the person who cared more about the love of the slave master than he did about the love of his people or the care for his people? His name was Stephen. And Stephen was somebody who was willing to sell out his fellow African enslaved people. So what I would say to the Stephens who are in our world today, understand that the master will never love you.
There are people that have taken the time to understand that I always keep at the forefront the people that elected me to DC. What you see, if you're not in my district, may not necessarily be all of the substance that also comes with me, but there is plenty of substance. And if anybody ever wanted to ask, just like anything else, I always have receipts for the work that I have done. So I will just say that I appreciate the community and the culture, because this is something that I never even had to address or deal with because the community decided to speak up before I even knew what was happening. I mean, but I haven't even experienced that type of stuff coming out of even Black men on the other side of the the aisle in Congress. They even have enough respect to say we disagree on this policy or whatever, and we'll go back and forth. But like, they have not tried to do what somebody else tried to do. So it's all good.
In that first video, Don Lemon would go in on Stephen A. regarding his comments about Renee Nicole Good. Here is part of that. I saw the video on numerous occasions, and seeing what transpired from a lawful perspective as it pertains to a law enforcement official, don't expect him to be prosecuted. He was completely justified, quipped Stephen A. From Mediaite, Lemon said on his Friday pod that Stephen A's stock and trade had moved from sports to bashing black people. YouTuber AT2 also had a breakdown.
And it's not even that he's weak, it's that he does this on purpose. If you look at the people who go on the show, it's mostly right wingers. It's people like, he loves Megyn Kelly. Out of all the people, you love blackface Megyn Kelly. You know, when she said blackface was okay, she also pushes the whole browning of America and the white replacement theory. Like, you love this woman. And the reason why they love you is because you push a narrative and a lot of propaganda on your channel. This is why they love you. And so Stephen A. Smith, he feels like he can just say whatever and he's trying to help, but you're not helping with anything. If anything, you're causing more chaos.
If you are new here, I have laid out what I believe to be the reason that Stephen A. is going in this direction. So I'll just do it once more. He is one of those guys who has said, you know, black people need to stop voting for left wingers, and there needs to be a fleeing of one side of the political aisle. This was on CNN years ago. He even said that he would look at voting for Mitt Romney over Barack Obama. He has given these comments over and over and over again. And what I want to present to you is a man who is in it for himself, does not care about community building, does not care about anything else other than his finances. And he has talked about this before. He has called himself a staunch capitalist. He has launched different projects, which is fine. Let me be clear. But what it shows is that he will, in his segments and on his now new podcast on SiriusXM, that he will trample over, attack, and bombard others who have notable spotlights in order to elevate himself. And in the process, from basically threatening Kevin Durant, saying essentially that Janae Palmer, when she got punched by Ray Rice in an elevator, that he tries to warn the women in his life not to invoke a response out of a man like that, which Michelle Beadle went ham on him for, rightfully so. And he's even gone.
Now, we've seen this, and what he's saying is what we've all pretty much have seen constantly from Stephen A. Smith. It's the usual bravado, nothing ever really changes. Right? Right. So when you start looking into it and you start saying to yourself, I don't know what that is. Okay, yeah. So when you start looking at what's on the table, what's supposed to be engaging, what isn't supposed to be engaging, all of these things are supposed to be a precursor into what other people determine is the end all be all of human existence, right? They try to tell you, by all means, we're going to control your words. We're going to control everything you say. We want your opinion on said subjects. We want to know what you think about it. Yes. And here's the key. They want to control the way you position yourself and move and think. Now, because they said all these different things, Stephen A. Smith was very upset. He got hot because everybody was jumping in, right? So once everybody started jumping in, it became a free-for-all where everybody who wanted opinion or thought about an opinion felt they were the ones to deliver the said opinion, right? And because of that, again, Stephen A. got pissed and did what he does.
Sirius XM POTUS Radio Channel 124. And I will most certainly be doing that with you tomorrow night.
Black man.
As I've told you on several occasions over the last few weeks, I try to come on the air every Monday and Friday, but this Monday I had to do Monday Night Football for ESPN. And so that's why I'm doing something today. And it's apropos because I have to address stuff that pretty much nobody wants me to address. They want me to leave it alone because their attitude is you just give fodder to folks are looking for clicks and stuff like that. I'm not going to classify the people I'm talking about as individuals just searching for clicks. They're accomplished individuals in our profession, in my profession, as well as in politics. And because of that, I'm going to show them a level of respect they certainly haven't showed me. But I'm certainly going to speak on the issues that they've addressed. I'm talking about Joy Reid, formerly of MSNBC. I'm talking about Don Lemon, formerly of CNN. I'm talking about Representative Jasmine Crockett, who for some reason, once again, went on social media to denigrate me. There's no other way to put it. So let me get started with a couple of things first.
See, he's talking about he's going to do it with a level of respect because he knows his HBCUs are watching. And him going after black women, that ain't good for business for the HBCUs who keep coming after Stephen A. patting him on the back because he's bringing in some money. So, like I said, he's mad now because she showed all those clips of him shucking and jiving, soft shooting. And it's all him. She didn't have to say anything. She just played the clips of you. And look how you ball up like a little boy. Take it away, Stephen.
Joy Reid decides to put out some videos of me talking about keeping receipts because she wanted to put forth a compilation of me talking about black people and comparing that to me talking to white people like Megyn Kelly and Ben Shapiro and people like that. I'm not getting into that. That's nonsense. You can clip and edit any way you want to and contextualize things in your own way. I'm not falling for that. But what I would like to do is address the incentive and the motivation that appears behind the attacks that they have aimed in my direction. First order of business is Joy Reid. Joy Reid was on a podcast. I believe it's my former colleague Kerry Champion's podcast entitled Naked. And listen or look at what Joy Reid had to say about me, and I'll read it to you. You got $100 million for a show with half my ratings at my worst. They're paying you, meaning ESPN, because you are willing to say the nasty things about black people that they want to say. You're willing to take their denigration of black women and put it in the mouth of a Negro, end quote. Before I address what Joy Reid, what I just read to you, came out of her mouth on that podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this woman is of the mindset that somehow, some way she's been insulted by me because when she got fired by MSNBC, I had the temerity, the unmitigated gall to say this. I've invited Joy Reid on this show, and I'm looking forward to her accepting my invitation so we can talk. Let me tell you how I feel about Joy Reid first. I respect the hell out of this woman. She is highly intelligent, very, very knowledgeable, very passionate. She has a lot to say. She is more than a conscientious observer, and she is fearless in calling out what she believes to be inequities, unfairness, and the like anywhere, but especially as it pertains to the Black community, and obviously as it pertains to leftists, to folks on the left. But when we want to bring up race as the cause for her being gone, I don't think we're serving ourselves well. Michael Steele is going to be there as well as a replacement, along with Alicia. And you got to remember Menendez is right there as well. It's hard to make the race argument when her replacements are reported to be three individuals that already have a weekend show on the network, and they're going to be inserted in the network. And I'm just reading from the reports here. Okay, I have not spoken to Joy Reid. I don't know. I've had the pleasure of meeting her on a couple of occasions. I certainly respect her. And I'm not here to castigate her in any way, but we do have to talk about the business in a very, very honest and fair fashion. Joy Reid was incredibly outspoken against the Trump administration, as has always been the case. Since election, her ratings have dropped by 47%. 47%. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't keep your job when stuff like that happens. You just don't. The business doesn't allow for that to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is the only time I've ever spoken about Joy Reid. That right before my interview with Lindsay Davis for ABC News Live the other day. That right there is apparently what she found to be disrespectful. That right there is what she appears to deduce as being denigrating and insulting to Black women. What do you want me to say? Joy Reid, beyond a conscientious observer, somebody who unapologetically fights on behalf of us as a community every chance she gets. Whether we agree or disagree with tactics from time to time, verbiage from time to time, etc., there is no doubt where her loyalty and her conscience lies. All I was pointing out was you've gone after Trump, albeit legitimately in your mind and that of many, many others who watched your show. Did you take into account the fact that he might win and what that might ultimately do? Because you know how he is and you know he's coming. And sure enough, a couple of months later, it ended up happening. So when it ended up happening, I was making a point because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in the business. Not only that, I've had a show that was canceled in 2007. So I was simply making the point that in our business, particularly when you're Black, regardless of the reasons behind why a precipitous fall off may occur, you kind of know what's going to happen. That's it. And because of that, she went on the air weeks ago and said what she said about me. And when I elaborated, on what she said and gave my response to Lindsay Davis, all of a sudden she's out with some videos or whatever showing receipts, whatever. Say what you want. It doesn't matter because I understand from a contextual standpoint, I did nothing wrong to you. And the venom and the viciousness that you choose to show, cool, no problem, I can take it. It's all right, keep it coming. Do what you got to do. If that's how you feel. My name is spelled with a PH, not a V. And even though you'll get your clicks and you'll get your notoriety and people in the audience will gravitate to you, well, guess what? They're going to gravitate to me too. And oh, by the way, you said that the ratings was more than mine. Again, context matters. You do understand I'm on at 10 in the morning. And they just finished reading the article about First Take having record ratings in the year 2025. Same year your show was canceled. You have more ratings, but prime time, which is when you were on, comes with a different set of responsibilities. I did not wish for your show to get canceled. I have news for you, Joy Reid. I still wish you were on the air. Because regardless of what bad cynics and critics and others want to say you did, I also know that you did a lot of good. Which is what I said when I talked about you, back then. I talked about the business, but I also talked about the quality of work that you brought to the airwaves. I did that. That's what I did. But that seems to be ignored. Denigrating, disrespecting Black women. I'll get into that in a second. But obviously, we don't want to stop with you because Don Lemon, who was at CNN for 17 years, he had something to say about me as well. Listen to this.
Stephen A. Smith has just been a disappointment. I try not to criticize, especially Black men or just Black people in general. But Stephen A. Smith goes off and he talks about shit that he has no idea about. He has talked shit about me, but no facts. He has no facts. He just gets on these like white boy, right-wing podcasts or on his own show and just goes off about Black people and things that for which he has no clue.
Yeah.
And he thinks because he's doing it like this, that people are going to listen to him. What's wrong with you? Sucker! I'm like, what am I watching? It's just shocking to me, this sort of cozying up to white people. And it's got to be for the money. But if I became a Black conservative, I would be rich, like a gazillionaire. Or if I just went on and started like bashing Black people just to bash them. And it seems that's become his stock and trade, to make excuses for white people and to cozy up to people like Megyn Kelly. He's one of those Black people who white people think Black people like, but we don't. And Stephen A. Smith does not represent us. Black people don't want to hear from him, networks. We don't like him.
I just want to make sure I understand this clearly. Don Lemon speaks for Black people more than me. Don Lemon speaks for Black people, period. Really? I won't go there. I won't even go there. I'm just not going to do it. I want y'all to understand as an audience. Let me say this about Don Lemon. My sister Carmen loves this man. Loves herself some Don Lemon. So much so to the point that not only did she watch him every night, she'd call us half the time to make sure we were watching him most of the night. For somebody that don't know much, and who is he, and he doesn't represent us, and blah, 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 you could, if you did your research, notice that I was a guest on Don Lemon's show on several occasions in the past. I never asked to come on. He asked me to come on. And I tried to go whenever asked because me, like I'm sure many others felt, you see a black host on television, you want to help. Don Lemon said that I talked shit about him. Ladies and gentlemen, evidently, this right here is Don Lemon's definition of shit. Listen up. See, I did some research. Okay? And here is the reality of the situation. When you look at Don Lemon tonight, that's what his show was called, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when he followed up Chris Cuomo. His ratings were his best during the Trump years in office. But even at that time, never averaged more than 1.1 million viewers, according to the reports. Shortly after Trump left office in January of 2021, his ratings steadily declined. And it wasn't long before CNN's primetime ratings overall were down over 50% post-Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the part where we all need to grow up. In the business that we're in, I'm in it. I've been in it for decades. You're not keeping your job when those kind of numbers are on the books. You're not doing it. Because advertisers and sponsors who want to support your product are going to go to where the ratings are. When I was watching one of the 3 shows at 10 o'clock at night on news, it was his show I was watching, not the other 2. But evidently, the numbers say I was in a minority. And again, no disrespect. I like Don. I like his work. I wish him nothing but the best. I'm not here to excoriate him. I'm only talking facts. And Don would appreciate this because Don is a fact-based person. That's what he swears to be. I see no reason to denigrate him in any way. But if Don was doing a story on Stephen A., which he has, and the reports were out there, Don would be reading from the reports just like I'm reading now. Everybody knows this. He would be reading them. And he would be saying, this is Stephen A.'s numbers compared to such and such numbers and such numbers. And if I was in last place, he would say he's in last place. That's his reality. That's the definition of disrespect to them. That something happens involving you in the news, you're the headline, you're the story, I talk about it, and I read the facts that were put in publications. And because of that, I'm just catering to white folks and talking about folks and all of this other stuff. I say that, I played that clip because Don Lemon specifically said, I was talking shit about him. I've never talked shit about you. I've had you on this show. I showed you nothing but respect when you were here. I showed you nothing but respect when I came onto your shows. I've never spoken against you, ever, ever. This pattern that's taking place that I'm witnessing transpire before my very eyes right now, I'm not blind. I see what's going on. And it's one thing. It's very, very simple to disagree with me. It's very, very simple to say that I'm wrong. It's very, very simple to say, I don't know what I'm talking about. Cool. Black people don't like me. That's a very, very, very personal shot. What if I got personal about Don Lemon? You want to talk about black people and your relationship with black people compared to others and who likes other people, who black people like and who they don't. We all got receipts. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to do that to you. It's unnecessary. You have your YouTube show. Joy's doing her thing with you and without you. I'm wishing y'all success. But what y'all are doing right now is vicious. I can take it. I'm going to continue to take it. It's spelled with a PH, not a V. Feel free. A in the middle of the initial. Go ahead, knock yourself out. I can take it. But it don't make you right. And it damn sure don't make you righteous. The reality of the situation is that you're basically sitting up there and pulling a Laura Ingraham. With LeBron, shut up and dribble. You're telling me to shut up and stick to sports. It's the fact that I'm touching on stuff that's essentially news and what have you. It's got y'all up in a tizzy. Joy, you brought up Ben Shapiro. I've met the man once. I interviewed him twice. I've met Megyn Kelly once. I've interviewed her twice. You know what we did? We sat down and we talked about our disagreements. I would have afforded that to Don had he called. Not now. I would have afforded that to Joy if she had called. Not now. Because it's gotten personal. And I'm not going to get personal. I'm just not going to waste my time. Black people don't like me. I'm from Hollis, Queens, bro. I'm from the streets of New York City. I go to the streets of America everywhere, all over this country. I'm inside and outside arenas. I'm inside and outside local businesses and stuff like that. I'm the ambassador for HBCU Week. In concert with Ashley Christopher and other people, I've helped generate over 12,000 scholarships in excess of $150 million for Black students. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. I ain't just down with a fraternity, that's a brotherhood. All of them are my boys. I was raised by 5 Black women, Joy. I have 9 nieces. I have 2 daughters. Everybody Black. I still go home to Hollis. On the business side, ESPN takes our show, First Take, to HBCUs. Packed gymnasiums wherever we go. Black people don't like me? You sure? Positive. Walt Disney and HBCUs, when we start going on tours every year. We've been to Delaware State. We've been to Bethune-Cookman. We've been to Norfolk State. We've been to Winston-Salem State. We've been to Savannah State. Oh, yeah, we're going to Texas Southern next month because of what Beyonce did in terms of her contribution to the band. We don't stop. And I said we. Because in concert with the very organization that I work for that you accused me of being paid by just to talk about white, just to talk nastiest things about Black people. What about what I celebrate? I cover the world of sports, Joy. If a Black athlete is competing against a Black athlete, and I'm talking about what a Black athlete did positive and how a Black athlete may have suffered negatively, I'm denigrating a Black person, or am I covering sports? You're competing. Somebody wins, somebody loses. You mentioned Colin Kaepernick. I supported Colin Kaepernick from day one. I just said your strategy's not going to work. Because if you go the route that you're going, you will never be back in the NFL. You seen him play? Have you seen him in an NFL uniform? Was I not right? I looked at Don Lemon, I looked at Joy Reid and what you bring to the table. And it was valuable and it was important. And we needed you on the air. So why continuously go after Trump to the point where all of your eggs are in one basket, and in the event that he wins the election, somehow, some way it can get in the way of your progress? I wasn't selling out. I was looking out, trying to point out where the potholes and the minefields would lie. Why? Because I've been there. I've been canceled. I've been fired. I've been taken off the air. And I was saying, this is the business. Why are we telling people something different? If you don't do X, Y, and Z, that does not mean you were not a great host. It does not mean that your content wasn't substantive. It does not mean it wasn't stuff that we needed to hear. What it meant was, in the end, it's going to be a marathon that you would lose because you went for the sprint. It's a personal opinion. But nothing denigrating or insulting to you all. But you would come at me and try to create a narrative questioning my blackness. Do you really think I'm fazed by that? I ain't a black man, just a black man. I'm a brother. I'm with the brothers and sisters all the time. That's how I live my life. That's what's around me, contrary to what you want to believe. Everywhere I go, black people, because I'm one of them. My brothers and sisters. And whether you like it or not, you don't get to eradicate and exile people. No, you don't get to do that. Contrary to what you want to believe. Now, to touch real quick, to remind people of my politics. Let me say one thing before I elaborate on it more extensively before we end this show. I'm not a Democrat, meaning a progressive Democrat. I am not a Republican, never have been. Nor am I down for MAGA, because I don't like some of the stuff either extremes do. I am a moderate who leans left. I am a fiscal conservative, because I can't stand paying high taxes in California, New Jersey, and New York. And I'm a social liberal. I am a supporter, pro-choice, LGBTQ plus community. My only issue is if somebody is transgender and trying to transition from a male to a female and competing with females, because I think that puts females at an extreme disadvantage. That's it. That and things involving kids that don't require parental consent. Because I'm of the belief you can ask a kid to go to the gas station. If you do it against the wishes or against the idea of informing their parents, you're wrong. There's no such thing as things for a child without parental consent. That's it. Period. I'm pro-choice. I'm about looking out for the impoverished and disenfranchised. The elderly matters to me more so than the rest of us, to be honest with you, kids and the elderly. But that's neither here nor there, because we know that's not what this is about. This is about y'all wanting me to parrot what y'all want me to say. And God forbid I think for myself. And I go on a case-by-case basis and I say, yo, this ain't gonna flow. That's not right. It's a problem. I don't subscribe to that. Because I'm of the mindset that when you do that, you don't get to, meaning a politician, you don't get to get held accountable for the things that you do. You want our vote? Earn it. Why should it be? You signed civil rights legislation in the law with Lyndon B. Johnson in 64, and you signed voting rights in 65. And because of that, you've dominated our vote for 80 plus years. I know the answer to some people would be, well, look at what the Republicans doing. I'm saying, forget all of that for a second. I understand that. I get that. But what about you who's swearing up and down, meaning the Democratic Party? You deserve our vote. Flatter me. I want to hear what you're offering. I want to hear what you're thinking and why. I want to hear why your policy ideas are better than theirs for our community, whether it's the year 2000, 2010, 2020, 2025. I'm asking. In this case, rhetorically, I'm saying that's always been my mentality. I've never been any different politically, ever. But now suddenly, I have this platform. And all of a sudden, my check becomes an issue. And speaking of my check, can I ask a rhetorical question right now? Why is everybody always bringing up me on ESPN when I own this YouTube channel? And I own this show on Sirius XM. How come y'all don't bring up Sirius XM? I don't say any of this stuff on ESPN. I don't bring any of my political stuff to ESPN. I'm there to do sports. Everything else is different. But at ESPN, I do a sports show, which, by the way, come April will be #1 for 14 consecutive years, by the way. See, in my time slot, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But that's neither here nor there. The point that I'm trying to make is, what's the problem? Why can't y'all bring up Stephen A. on Sirius XM? Stephen A. on Straight Shooter? Why do you keep bringing up ESPN? Because you know it's owned by Disney? Because you're literally trying to go about the business of having me canceled? All I want to say is, I don't have animus and vitriol towards Joy Reid or Don Lemon. Y'all saw what I said. The reason I played you those clips is because it's the only time I've ever talked about them. I wouldn't do that. I don't want you canceled. I don't want you guys without a show. I don't want you guys off the air. I want you talking. I want you looking out for our community. Just because you do it your way and I do it differently, don't make you better or worse. Neither does it me. But the point is, I wouldn't do to you what you're trying to do to me. You're trying to create a narrative and build it so it would literally be validated what Don Lemon said. Hey, Stephen A., black people don't like you. You speak for all black people. You want to walk out in the streets of America with me and find out? I walk out there every day. I can walk anywhere in this country because I'm a brother who loves my brothers and sisters, regardless of what you think. I grew up arguing with my sisters all the damn time. I didn't know that arguments turned into disrespect because you had a different opinion. I didn't know that it translated to hating your own. I thought we as black people butted heads all the time, arguing about our ideas, our thoughts, and everything like that. That's what I thought. But we want to pretend that it's something different now because on a public platform, we're supposed to give a different impression. Let's keep it a buck. Joy Reid and Don Lemon are entitled to their opinion. I don't have to talk to them. I don't have to talk about them. But I want them to know, for future reference, in case you ever wanted to come to this show, you're welcome. And not only that, I'm going to invite liberals and conservatives on this show. I'm going to even try to conduct town halls. I have the facilities and the means to do it, evidently. I want to hear from both sides because I want the black community prioritized in a way that benefits us, not keeps us at the mercy of one party who's going to take us for granted and another party who's going to dismiss us because they know they never will get our support. And as a result, we are the community that's left being disenfranchised. That's what I'm going to do. I just wanted to say that. Before I ended this by talking about Representative Jasmine Crockett, while Joy Reid and Don Lemon were saying their things, Jasmine Crockett took the liberty, at least according to her X handle, Twitter handle, whatever it is, she took the liberty of talking about me. She had this to say. I believe that's her Instagram page, if I'm correct. She commented on Don Lemon's post by saying, 3 of my faves, meaning the 2 individuals that he was on the show with. She said, 3 of my faves. All I have to say is Stephen is synonymous with the modern day Django. Don't be a Stephen A, especially right now. Modern day Django, huh? Is that not race baiting? Because I sat up there and called out Jasmine Crockett calling the president a piece of shit and simply asking, is that going to work for your constituency? All of this has come about. Never mind the fact that I said it because I wanted her to do nothing to get in the way of her running for Senate, because I wanted her to run for Senate. Why represent 766,000 people for a district in Texas when you could end up being one of 2 senators in the state representing 31 million people? Jasmine Crockett and her supporters were so appalled by it that a month or so later, she announced she's running for Senate, which was my point. She left out, and people like, I should say people like, other people who support her left out that I wanted her to run for Senate, that I think she has a chance to win a Senate seat, that I'd like to see Texas get a little bluish. They left that out. I'm talking about winning. We talking about feelings. And you would say that about me. A representative in the United States of America would call me the modern day Django, and y'all left out the part that she was days removed from going on The View and saying Marjorie Taylor Greene, her nemesis, her Republican nemesis in the House over the last couple of years, Marjorie Taylor Greene should be shown grace, but I shouldn't. This is the world that we're living in. Once again, Jasmine Crockett has been invited on this show multitude of times. You sitting down talking to everybody else, how come you ain't sit down and talk to me? Scared of what I'm going to ask? I don't know. I have no clue. But if you're going to say something like that about somebody, hell, say it to their face. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you noticed this, and I don't want to step out of pocket. I'm being very respectful when I say this because I'm grateful. I'm grateful with what I'm about to bring up. When Jasmine Crockett appeared on The View a couple of weeks ago, the green room that she was in was 10 feet away from First Take Studios across the hall, 10 feet. I was on the air. I did not have the pleasure or the luxury to meet her because I was on the air doing my show from 10 a.m. to noon. And by the time I got off of First Take and I came outside, she was gone. As I was walking outside, an abundance of ladies stopped me. After they stopped me to take pictures, and I took pictures with several of the ladies who happened to be in the audience for The View that day, as I was being escorted out of the building with security by my side, security in the building, a woman walked up to me and said, "Hello, Stephen. It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Jasmine Crockett's mother." I looked up the picture of Jasmine Crockett's mother in the aftermath of all of that to make sure it was really her as opposed to somebody saying that they were her, because I never knew what her mother looked like. She could not have been kinder. She could not have been sweeter. And I could not have appreciated more what she said to me. I said to her, "Are you mad at me too?" And I'm only saying this because she didn't ask me to be quiet and keep things confidential. She was just a kind lady that approached me to let me know she was Jasmine Crockett's mother. And she said to me, when I asked her, are you upset at me too? She said, no, I'm actually here to thank you because you are a person that repeatedly compliments my daughter. You remind people that she is educated. You remind people that she is accomplished. And you remind people that she can accomplish great things. And I appreciate that. Go back and look at my clips, at the things that I've said about Jasmine Crockett, and you will find that to be true. It's absolutely true. But you wouldn't know that from what she put on Instagram. And I love how it's totally cool. I got to watch everything that I say. And I got to watch everything that everybody that I talk to and all of this other stuff. But you can go on Instagram and call me a modern day Django as a representative for the United States of America. You can engage in that kind of verbiage. All because I asked a question that I wanted you to answer. That part saddens me. I have the airways available to me, contrary to what y'all want to think, believe, or whatever. I'm not going away. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to talk to people on both sides of the aisle because I know at the heart of all of this, that's what the problem is. Y'all don't want me talking to nobody. You don't want me to talk to anybody on that side. They're Republicans. They must be racist. They're Republicans, so they don't care about black people. They're Republicans. They're Republicans. What about the black conservatives? Because let me tell you something right now. Black liberals, black moderates, black conservatives, all are welcomed on the show. Not just white politicians, not just white folks on either side of the aisle, everybody. I am no black conservative, but I certainly understand why black conservatives get so heated when it comes to the issues of liberalism because they see how they get labeled for their ideological beliefs and how they get denigrated. So the liberal can believe what the liberal wants to believe and we can agree or disagree. But if a black conservative feels a certain way, they got to be a sellout to their community. They can't believe there's a better strategy to the economy. They can't believe there's a better strategy to addressing border issues. They can't believe there's a better strategy for affordability. Oh, no, it must be. And of course, they can't possibly disagree with some of the stuff that Trump is doing, like the latest nonsense that he put out there where he's blaming black folks and speaking about the issues of slavery and things of that nature as something that's been unfavorable to white people. Like that should be ignored, like history should be erased. There ain't a week that goes by that I don't call Trump out or something from his administration. But we ignore that, don't we? Because that fit the narrative. It's really unfortunate, but it's okay because I can take it and I'm gonna keep on taking it because at any time I want to, I can give it. But as it pertains to the black community, I'm not going to go overboard in addressing it. I don't have to. I'm not going to be invited to the latest barbecue. Don't y'all know I have my own? Don't y'all know that 100% of the time, at least 99% of the people that show up are black people? The things that I've been doing for HBCUs, the things that I do for Winston-Salem State, my alma mater, with the scholarships and everything, the things that I do in mentorship and what have you, the things that I do in terms of assisting ESPN and any place that I work with, including here at SiriusXM, is to make sure that I assist in diversifying the body of employees that work, I've been doing the work and I'm going to continue to do the work. I'm going to continue to love my people. I do not speak for us. You're absolutely right, Don. I never said I did. Who the hell do you think you speak for? Who do you speak for? Come on now. We don't have to go there. You don't speak for all black people, neither do I. And I'm quite sure there's a plethora of black people who love you out there and some who don't. Same applies to me. But y'all can peel my takes all you want to, Joy, and edit them and do all that stuff. Here's the bottom line. I'm on the air over 300 days out of the year. A minimum of 470 to 500 hours a year live. I'm quite sure from time to time I'm going to say things people don't like. If you have to talk as much as I have to talk, who knows what you would say? You want to dig up files and show receipts? Do I need to dig up your file? Emails and beyond. The things you've said? I'd never do that. It's your business. Not in a million years. I don't play that game. Y'all do what y'all do. I do what I do. I don't claim to know everything. I'm not an aficionado. I don't know more politics than either one of y'all. I certainly know more politics than Jasmine Crockett or anybody else for that matter. That's why I talk to the experts that do. I remember seeing Torrey doing some video about the arrogance. He's doing he's doing a political show and stuff like that. He doesn't even know anything about politics. That's why I interview politicians. From Hakeem Jeffries to Representative Clyburn to Madeline Dean to Governor Josh Shapiro to Governor Spencer Cox to to Jim Jordan to Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. And yes, to Ted Cruz as well. Representative Eric Swalwell, operators from both sides of the aisle, because I don't know. I'm interviewing them to tell me. Just like when I didn't know anything about pop culture and the issues that were being discussed, Tori, I called you, who was on my show, educating me about what the subject matters were. And from there, I deduced an opinion based on the facts that were put out there, combined with the facts that you educated and enlightened me about, and I had an opinion. Last time I checked, that's what people got podcasts and YouTube shows for. Don't y'all have them? What's wrong with me having them? Rhetorical question, because we know you'll find a reason to complain about me, not you, Tori, but Joy, Don, and all of that stuff. Have at it. I won't be talking about y'all anymore. I wish you best. I wish you well. And by the way, when there's an issue that you want to discuss, when I have panels from both sides, like I'm planning to, when I conduct a town hall or whatever, if you want to be a part of it, you're welcomed. I don't mind having you at all. I'm not going to lose any sleep. Don't have any hatred. Don't wish you any harm. Not politicking and scheming for you to end up being canceled and unemployed and silenced. Because you know how this goes, right, America? Folks ally you. They want to ally you. If not, they want to neutralize you. If they can't do that, they want to destroy you. Which category do y'all fall under? My answer towards y'all would be ally, because you're not my enemy. I'm wishing you nothing but the best. When I brought up your numbers, it was pointing out how you got let go because y'all were doing what y'all were doing and you went all in on Trump. And then once Trump got elected, the landscape changed because the business changed. That's all I did. I'm sorry if you felt the need to take it another way. But there will be no animus aimed towards you from me. I have better things to do with my time and my life. I will not be bothering you again, assuming I'm bothering you now. Representative Jasmine Crockett, you are an entirely different matter. Saying that about me was low and it was uncalled for. It was wrong. It was unnecessary. and is trying to paint a narrative. I asked a question about you. You put out something about me that people might want to attack me over. Is that what we should expect from our U.S. representatives? Or potentially a United States senator? Once again, another question. But don't bother answering. I can take that too. Good luck in your pursuit of the Senate seat. You're still welcomed on the show. I don't expect you to accept. And I won't lose any sleep over it. But it's a shame that you'd go that route. To think it is bad enough to put it out in the stratosphere like that. All I could say is that y'all out there would look at that and still consider me the problem. I'm going to end this by being rhetorical. In a 7 or 8 day span, she put that post on Instagram. And days earlier, she said, let's give Marjorie Taylor Greene grace. I work for SiriusXM and I work for myself. ESPN has nothing to do with this, neither does Disney. I go on the airwaves for them to talk sports. That's what I do at ESPN. Mentioning ESPN every time you mention my name is to try to make things inconvenient for me there. I'll leave it at that. That's it for this edition. Straight Shooter with yours truly. I have nothing more to say. Hopefully I won't have to talk about any of these folks again. Let them live their life. I'll live mine. Talk about Joy and Don. In the case of Representative Crockett, no, you're running for election. Well, I will be talking about what you're doing. That I will be doing. Because I'll be covering a whole bunch of political talk. Not going away. Oh, by the way, Don, was the volume low enough? Did I sound calm enough for you? Just ask. Peace and love, y'all.
Like them, oh, he told us stewards. He could be famous, he could be sad. Why like that? Like, I don't know who said it, but they ain't read the books. Oh, that's why. Yeah, you got to know. He said. So the movie came out. He was in the movie. Losing their mind. No, he was one of the werewolves. He was one of the
somebody said I'm gonna eat a 6-piece in memory.